am the eldest of 4 boys. And I have a sister as well, but I am the eldest. And obviously my father saw me as the 2.0 version of himself. So I had that type of an upbringing.
What was your father's profession?
An entrepreneur.
An entrepreneur, okay.
Interesting.
My father graduated from Imperial College in London, and he also graduated, took an MBA in Texas, in the States.
University of Texas.
Yes, University of Texas.
I'm a Texas alumni.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Longhorns, hook 'em horns.
And he went into mainly petroleum, so he went into ADNOC when he in his 20s, early 20s, and at the age of 25 decided to go down the entrepreneurial route, and he is just crossed 55, so that was 31 years ago, I would say, and he is now considering retiring, which we don't believe at home, but he had 30 years of experience of being an entrepreneur, started over 25 companies himself.
Wow, 25 companies. That's no
Yeah.
joke.
So growing up with kind of that type of a role model,
Yeah.
and then also growing up in such a crucial stage of Dubai, where I have nieces and nephews that don't know what Dubai was like before the Burj Khalifa came along.
Okay.
Which for me was actually my route to school, which was a 2-lane road.
You
And
went
now-
right through where the Burj
right through
Khalifa
where
is.
the Burj was.
Interesting.
A little to the left, because that used to be a secluded area, but the same ground. So going through that, and I remember going to school, we had to go through camel farms, like Izbas.
Wow.
So that does not exist
It's
anymore.
amazing that it never fails to impress me, the rapidity of the growth of Dubai. Yeah.
And that's why I'll tell you what type of a weird teenager I was. At the age of 15, I had to do a presentation. My teacher asked me to do any presentation about whatever my mind was. So guys were doing presentations. It wasn't all boys' school. So guys were doing presentations about horse riding and cars and, action heroes, the normal things 15-year-olds should be thinking about. And my presentation was the rising growth and metropolis of Dubai.
That's so sophisticated for 15
and
years
yes,
old.
and basically the rapid growth. And this wasn't when I was 15, so this was what,
Wow.
2003, 2004. And basically my tagline was, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And I said, there's a bubble and it's coming and it's going to burst. And 3-4 years later, there was a bubble that came and burst.
Right.
So,
The Economist should have been listening to
yes,
you.
so
Yeah.
I single-handedly probably caused it. That's what my family thinks. By that, it was a ripple effect, and it started in Dubai, so I'm going on record.
Yeah.
But that was the kind of kid I was. So I was, deep down, I was fascinated by how fast the city was growing, and I was so inspired by it. I was intimidated, but also inspired, and I had big shoes to fill. After graduating from high school, I had gone to the University of Essex in the UK, and I did my bachelor's there.
What did you study?
This is the
Yeah,
thing.
what did you study?
I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to be in something to do with media, but back then there was no social media.
Right.
There was no, I mean, let alone BlackBerry Messenger wasn't even introduced to our generation. It was more of a business tool for emails.
Yeah.
So, the generation of the Nokias, where we didn't know, I didn't know what media went. So my dad was more of like, you want to be a presenter, like a TV actor or something? I'm like, no, I don't like that at all. I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the words to basically say. I didn't even know actually there was something called mass communications. If I knew that at the age of 17, maybe I would have gone through a different path. But my dad advised me to do finance and accounting.
Oh.
Yes, I can hear the other finance and accountants sharing my sympathy at the moment. But basically he said, well, if you don't know what you want to do, you should do something that's a proper foundation. So already subconsciously I was like, I didn't do what he did, which is engineering. So that's already like I did not follow him in his footsteps.
Yeah.
But hey, I wasn't passionate about engineering or these sciences.
Yeah.
So I went into accounting finance, realized that, you know what, it wasn't my passion, but it's something I wanted to do. I mean, I was good at.
It's a good
It
foundation.
was
Yeah,
a good
it's a good-
foundation.
Yeah.
Money makes the world go round, so why not
True.
start knowing how to count it, or other people's. Everyone was kind of suffering from the aftermath, or that was during the time, but also the aftermath. So I just said, you know what, let me go home and try to help my home as much as I can, because I'm in the UK. UK media is blasting off Dubai. and
UK meetings, but meaning they're talking about Dubai.
yes.
In a good way or a bad way?
No, very in a negative way.
Oh, because of the financial crisis.
Yes,
This is like 08, 09?
08, 09.
Yeah.
I graduated in 09.
Yeah.
So during that 08, 09 period, it was more of just international media picking on the city and being like, you know what, because we did launch also the Palm and we had that huge blast and we did the whole January 2009 launch of the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of launches.
So you get all the haters come out of the woodwork.
Being like, who are you guys kidding?
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, at least the backstory of my dad's work and his companies and stuff like that. So I know that there was obviously an underlying, everyone was suffering kind of like a mantra that everyone was going through. And so I decided, you know what, I'll go back home, see what it's like, and I'll see what I can do. I went back home. My dad was like, I'm trying to damage control here. I have nothing to give you, nor does anyone have time to teach you anything. And I was like, oh, I expected to come. He was like, oh no, who said you have a position here? And I said, I thought, being the eldest, wasn't I made for this? I went through so many programs, so many like boarding school programs and stuff like that. And he said, no, you get a job, like how I got a job. You get a job. My dad's first generation of his enterprise. His dad was an accountant, and his mom was a headmistress of a school. Okay. So coming from a middle class background,
like growing up here in UAE.
And growing up here, my dad was like, I made myself. So
he wants you to work hard
make
for
yourself.
it.
At the time, I was a typical 21-year-old, so I was not very happy.
Yeah.
But during my time also in the UK, I did a lot of volunteering and I took a lot of jobs with the student union to kind of make my own money. So I learned through that. And when I had come back, I was like, okay, obviously 2009, no one was hiring. It took me 6 months to get a job, but that was me being lucky, I know people that were searching for a year or two and never got anything. So I got my first job at Dubai Aluminium. As an accountant and then as an analyst, and that was basically just to answer and reroute back to your question, where I had come from, my background, and my first, my basically return or my entrance into adult life and working. So I was an accountant / analyst in an aluminium company.
Okay.
That's actually
and that was the beginning of
good as a start.
Yeah.
You always need to build yourself.
No, but I was alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
I had a good upbringing. I had a good support system at home. My parents are, I call them conservative liberals. They, having 4 boys helped, we weren't very restricted to most stuff, but the way that we were brought up was just that you can be anything you want to be, and nothing is shameful. If you have a passion, follow it.
Well, I would think that
support you,
your father's such a strong entrepreneur. I mean, 25 companies is not a usual thing. No. So that will definitely make sense that he would be open to ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he's now, if I tell you what he's doing now, now he is doing a well-deserved retirement plan where he's just traveling the world with my mom and enjoying his time outside, and I keep on begging him to come back. He comes literally for a day and then travels again for months. So he deserves it. He's paid his dues. But growing up, I didn't see him much. So I was the brother that never got to I would basically see him only, coming back from school, he would be back by 10 p.m. By 10 p.m. I'm already sleeping for school. And then that was it. And that was when he was in the country, which was very rare as well. So my upbringing with my dad was very much different from my brother's upbringings, where the more the years went by, the more he obviously delegated his tasks and hired people in his companies to take responsibilities. But that doesn't mean he's still not traveling. He still works, but he was definitely much less available. So that obviously had an effect on me in the sense of being responsible for my family and being responsible for my mom and taking care of the household. While he wasn't here.
I see.
My mom is a housewife. She got married straight out of high school, so she had a full-time job, running a household.
With 4 boys.
That's
a girl, and it was. So she's also paid her dues, so she's enjoying her vacation with him at the moment.
May God bless.
So what was your first foray into entrepreneurship then? So obviously we have a great portrait now of your background and upbringing, But so 21 years old, you've got an accounting gig. How do you get from there to being an entrepreneur?
So I was serving serving my time sounds like prison. But my job wasn't, I mean, it was very opposite of what my social life or the personality that I had. The job that I had, and God bless them, Dubai is an amazing company, and the people at Dubai are amazing. But my job was very back office. I was literally counting costs of aluminium, which is not the most inspiring, passionate thing.
Right.
So I did that obviously because, bills need to be paid.
Right.
So I was just depending on myself. Thankfully, alhamdulillah, we have a culture here where you live with your family until you get married. So I didn't have rent, so that was good.
That's good.
So basically, I worked in Dubai Aluminium for the first 2 years. And while I was working in Dubai Aluminium, I was kind of looking for... I went to a very international school, and then I went abroad to study. And during my time in the international school that I was here, every break that I had or every program was sent abroad. So when I had come back at the age of 21, I didn't have a lot of friends in the city. I had my cousins and my family, but my friends were disconnected and I didn't know anyone much. So during my first 2 years at Dubai Aluminium, I volunteered a lot at different events.
Okay.
From everything from a forum, media forum, all the way to handing out meals, to those in need in Ramadan, stuff like that, walking for education.
Good networking opportunity and getting to see the city.
And I just wanted to know people and to find like-minded people.
Yeah.
What I realized through that and the first 2 years is that I realized I met a lot of people who were kind of in the creative arts but stuck in day-to-day routine jobs that they didn't very much feel passionate about. So I related to them. I had a photographer who was amazing, but he's doing, numbers at an aviation company. I had a person who was an artist but, is working on, on engineering of the roads and urban development. So I felt for them, and at the same time I was just like, where can I find guys like you and girls like you? Like, where can I find like-minded people? So I Googled, and Google was so annoying because if you type Emirati artist, there isn't none. Again, this is still at the time when Twitter was just fresh.
Yeah.
So it's still no Instagram, so it was difficult. So what did I notice was, I noticed people I was meeting would show me stuff on their phone, or I would hear from a friend of a friend of a friend to go to a gallery or a singing competition or something like that, or universities hosting a talent night. Or the other way is when I go onto Twitter, I would see, this person uploaded a picture of their work, great, but not everyone's following that person. So that's where my mind kicked in and said, what if I create a database of just people that live in this region, and specifically Dubai at first, and just get people, like a database, get people connected.
Sure.
Kind of like a website that was a Facebook, that was kind of along those terms. I didn't know honestly what I was doing.
Yeah.
I just knew that I wanted to have a website where I get talented people together, whether they're talented in business, doctors, lawyers. I'm not like shutting them out because it's not the creative arts, but everyone together, and focus on youth.
But specifically in Dubai.
Yeah, specifically.
That was my reach at the time. I just
yeah.
didn't know I didn't know it was going to go region-wide.
Yeah.
So I worked for 3 months, and I saved up my own money from my job. It honestly cost me, it was a startup of 20,000 dirhams to open a website. That was it. And to do the trade license and stuff like that. And I didn't know what I was doing, because I even went to the and this is maybe for a few pointers. I hope it got easier now, but I went to the economics development department saying I want a license, and they told me for what, and I'm like, oh well, it's a website that gathers interviews, and they just looked at me with such deer in the headlights. They didn't know what I was talking about, and they were like, so like consultancy, and I'm like,
oh my god,
like, what is? And I told him, I was like, what would that take for me? He goes, actually, consultancy is like a free license. I'm like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
If I don't have to pay for it, I'll do that. I'll
yeah.
consult everything. So what I did was, I gathered my contacts, and in the 3 months, I created my own PR campaign. What I did was twofold. I went to my contacts that I met through the networking events of the talent people, and I'd be like, can I interview you guys? So I created a 3-month worth of content of interviews and displays of different artists and singers and storytellers and volunteers, and I just created content of interviews for 3 months ahead. and in the same time, I sat with, at the same time while I was volunteering and networking, I had developed quite a follow base on Twitter, and Twitter kind of took off for me. So I had a lot of CEOs of companies kind of contacting me and being like, who are you? And at the time, no one understood what social media and the power was.
It wasn't that popular.
It wasn't that popular. So I walked into the CEO's offices, and these are top CEOs of top companies till today. And I sat with them and I was like, hey, so I'm a 23-year-old and I have a website coming up and it's going to interview talent, and that's it. And they would go, okay, so what do you want? I was like, I don't want anything. He goes, no, but I don't understand. Do you want money? Because we don't have any, and I'm like, no, I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah.
Because when it launches, it will be big.
Yeah.
And you will want to get on it. And then so
Confidence.
they were very much like, this guy is weird, cocky, forward, ambitious, whatever the case is. But they walked out with an impression of what just happened, in this meeting. What happened was 3 months later, I just put up a timer online on my website for a few days before launching, and this timer, and then I noticed people doing like a snowball effect. People who followed me on Twitter were captioning, and then the ones I interviewed for 3 months would caption, and then the CEOs I met would screenshot and take everything, and then they were doing the advertisement for me. I had no agency, I had no one. I was the man with a phone. And then on the day of the website launched, we had like 50,000 hits. And for someone that did no paying of any sort, 50,000 in
Free
Dubai at least were good. And we launched in Eid.
Okay.
So we were, and when I say we, I mean me and I call everyone who worked on this website a team. We did it all together. It wasn't my company.
But you're working with volunteers at this point, right?
Volunteers,
okay.
yeah. And so that was my first attempt at launching a website consultancy company.
But what was that called? This is
Think
Up. That's what I thought. This is Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So it was, and this is again pointers for anyone starting businesses. If you have a passion and idea, go for it. You might not have the end result in mind at the moment. You might not know where you're going, but if you don't move today, someone's going to come around and do it either way. So you might as well start off and see where your passion goes. I never studied mass comm. I never studied PR. I never started marketing. I just networked. I managed to gather a website that 4 years later went from getting 0 dirhams to crossing 1 million dirhams in 4 years per year.
In terms of revenue?
In terms of revenue,
wow.
yeah.
1 million dirhams a year within 4 years.
Within 4 years.
Doing just for Think Up, you mean?
Just for Think Up.
Wow, that's impressive.
And how we did that is like a whole...
Well, you should
we can delve in.
No, this is fascinating. So just zooming ahead really quickly, it appears that you not only you own Wakame restaurant, but you also own Gravity, it's a calisthenics only gym, and then you continue to run Think Up.
Yes.
So you're running, these are your 3 operations you run right now?
3, I would call them 3 commercial and retail operations. They're the ones that people see at the moment.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of back end stuff. So fast forwarding to today, I had just finished my national service a month ago. I graduated after a year in the army. And during that time, obviously before I had paused, I was at that time only running Think Up, and so I had paused it. And I said for that year, I had given it to my.
Is that mandatory here in UAE, or is
yes, it's a mandatory. Okay. If you're the only way that you can, I would say, have it as an option is if you're an only son.
Okay.
So if you're an only son, yes. But if you're
you have 4 sons,
boys, we all have to do it. But it was a great experience. Yeah. I'm probably one of the very few that says it was actually a great experience.
Were you deployed somewhere, or where did you?
There is. It's a year program, so there is international deployment, but they spread you out to several places, and it's pretty much safe. I mean, alhamdulillah, we are blessed to be in a safe environment, and our standpoint from an armed forces is very safe. So it was just, for me, I already grew up with discipline. I had my dad. So being told when to eat and when to sleep and when to do stuff, I was very much accustomed to. So I was like, this is like my dad. Although my dad is not a military guy.
Right.
But it was kind of like, getting used to that. And so what happened was, towards the end, my dad had come to me and told me, you're 28. You have survived 7 years in the entrepreneurial world. You have created your own company from scratch. no injection from anyone, and I got a lot of offers to buy, to partner, and to support and fund, which I declined all because I'm very much a company by the people for the people, and I don't want to get money.
But you must have been tempted to take on some money for ThinkUp. Yes?
Definitely, just because I could see the potential.
Yeah.
And it's funny we're mentioning this now because I have finally agreed to a partnership, but it's a no money transaction in between both and no ownership. It's not a ownership partnership. It's more like a third party partnership.
Can you talk about what it is?
So basically, at the moment I cannot mention the company, but ThinkUp at the moment is at a point where we can offer solutions to companies that want to start up, in the sense of we can help you with your branding, and then we can help you with your social media plan. So we do social media activations and PR strategies on how to attract your brand to youth. And that's our niche, and that's where we focused on. And we utilize that by involving the youth. So you'd come and you'd be a famous soft drink brand and tell me, I want to advertise this new soft drink. Our mandate is, how do you give back to the community? So if they'll be like, no, all I want you is to advertise this on, for us, I'd be like, no. But if you would like I can get you a young youth person that's living in the UAE or the GCC to design this bottle for you. That's how you gave back to them. You'd pay them, of course.
Yeah.
But then I can advertise that in any way, because if you allow the youth to be familiar with your product, they will support you.
Sure.
So that's what we used to do, and still do. I was approached by an international company. They have offices in Europe and South Africa, and they want Dubai to be their 4th hub. And what they do is from A to Z. So they complement us in the way that if you're coming in one day and you're telling me, I want to open a restaurant, I can advise you location, I can tell you what your logo is going to look like, what your brand, I can help you with the fit out, I can give you a marketing plan, not only just on social media, but also print and radio, etc. I can give you a training program for your employees, I can consult you on how to start, I can even tell you where to get your steak from, and then post, I can sign you up on a retainer where forevermore I can work with you and designate one person to oversee your entire consultation of your business.
So it's quite used. Do you have to turn down clients, or do you get? Because it sounds quite useful.
Before the army, when I was running it just as that niche, I turned out I couldn't take more than 2 clients a month.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, because it's like you need a certain amount of bandwidth to service clients with that many things.
Yeah, right? And it was funny because the bigger we were getting, the more that I was getting invited by bigger companies and bigger PR companies that are worldly known, based here right next to AUD. Calling me and just telling me, so we heard about ThinkUp. And I'm like, yeah. So what do you do? And I would be like, what do you mean? They're like, no, because we heard. And immediately I would know, if these big shots are calling me, and these are like multinational, multi-million-dollar companies calling me to ask me what's my secret, I'm going in some sort of a right path.
Right.
And so we just focused on that niche and kind of just built that. And I think these guys that we're partnering up with understand that. They're like, we don't want to own, we don't even want our name to show on your logo. All we want is just to partner up from a third-party perspective. Let us send our employees over to you to train your young youth of the UAE.
Yeah.
And then we'll just leave, and you take our talent. But of course, it's a profit sharing. But that's the only way that we split stuff. It's in terms of owning companies or like a 50-50, no. But it's, should you require our services, which are a lot and I can depend on, great. And I asked them and I told them, but why me? You can come in and just open in Emirates Towers and have this huge floor to yourself and invest all your money because you're globally known already.
Right.
And they said, yeah, but we'd be like every other PR, social media, marketing agency in Dubai, but no one has the youth of the UAE speaking for them.
They want an edge, and you put yourself right in that niche.
Specific an Emirati guy being the face of a company.
Yeah.
So they were like, it's a win for us, and I was like, hey, it's a win for me.
Yeah.
And that's how business works, right? So that's the next stage that we're taking.
That's cool.
For the agency. And then when I finished with the army, my dad came to me and was like, after you finish 7 years, great, so I'm retiring. And here you go. 25 is now 15. It's gone down. He got rid of the 10 extra. Whether it was selling out or like exiting, or the basically the contract had ended. So here are 15 businesses you have to look after, and he's in the property market as well. But at the same time, from the 10 that I sold, I have the investment. Invest in things that you think are profitable. And that's where Wakame came along, and that's where Gravity came along, and that's where 3 more companies are coming along in the next 3 months.
I see. So wow, you're doing a lot of things. You're doing a lot of.
Oh, and I have a full-time job, by the way.
How do you manage to balance all of these at the same time?
And what do you mean by that? You have a full-time job?
I work at Dubai Tourism.
Yeah, I noticed that
I
on
head
your
a
LinkedIn.
department, so I have a team of people that I delegate 99% of the stuff I do on.
I see that. Yeah, manager stakeholder communications.
Yeah, so I have a full-time job, and why? Because again, I don't mean this in a cocky way. It's not for the money, because it's government at the end of the day, and if I wanted money, I'd go private probably.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do it because it's my role is specifically advertising my home on social media.
Sure.
That's it.
Yeah, you're promoting Dubai as a tourism destination, correct?
So that's my day job, and what better way to give back than that? And that's what the CEO called me himself. And when the CEO called me, Aslam called him and told me, "I'm not hiring you for your accounting job at all. I'm not hiring you for your accounting degree at all. I'm giving you your first professional role in a mass comm PR world at Dubai Tourism, and you can lead an entire department on your own. And we won't touch it. You do what you want. You do what you're passionate about. Continue supporting youth, but on a global scale for Dubai. So what I do is whenever I bring people in town on social media, Instagrammers, YouTubers, Facebookers, that's my niche. That's my thing. I push the youth in there. So that's how I advertise, because my mandate is not to show them Burj Khalifa. My mandate is to show them the artists and the singers and the business owners and the small little hubs of creative centers, and
it's awesome. It's a great fit, I think.
So that it complements
going beyond the surface of just Dubai. When you think of it as Dubai tourism, and getting more into the heart and soul of the city.
Yeah, and that's why I accepted it, because I'd be stupid not to. It's a great opportunity.
That's very interesting.
Okay, for Wakame, I want to ask you. You said earlier that if, let's say, someone wants to come to you for consultancy, you'd give them the location, etc. Why did you choose specifically downtown for Wakame?
So for Wakame, the services that I just mentioned in terms of advising on location stuff, this is yet to come. This is the partnership that's coming up. So at the time, I was kind of just not in the know of where to go. But definitely, again, going back, Wakame is, so my second brother, Alawi, is heading the company, my dad's company, on the F&B divisions. So he runs Wakame, and he also is opening 2 new concepts, and he also runs a franchise called Edible Arrangements from the States. So he is also in the entrepreneurial world. He learned there's a huge age gap between me and him, and then the other 2 young ones.
Can we just add, just quickly, what are the ages of your brothers? So
I'm 28. The second is 26.
Okay.
And the younger 2 are... They're both 20 at the moment, but they're not twins. They're 10 months apart.
10 months apart, okay.
So for 2 months now, they're 20.
Okay.
And one's going to be 21.
Wow.
Yeah. They were quick. But, so basically, I mean, in that age gap, although it's just 6 to 8 years, there was a lot of changes in my dad's life in terms of being more settled and more at home. So we are very much more entrepreneurial. And my brothers at the moment, they're 20, they're just doing their university degrees now in London. They're more of the chillaxing type. But they're going to be dragged in, trust me. I've already drawn out a plan literally last week, because one is graduating now. And, he's going to head stuff, because I need him. I need the help. But, so Alawi heads the F&B. It was his baby. I just supervised. So when he came to me and told me downtown, and it's a Sofitel downtown, we thought to ourselves, okay, Sofitel, that's a huge international brand, international exposure. They have a marketing team. They're going to help us. Now, there are pros and cons. The cons are high rent, difficulty in locating, because it's a new hotel. We opened with them basically.
When did Sofitel open? Just last year, you're saying?
2 years now,
Okay.
or a year and a half, 2 years, which is the same time frame as we
I
did.
should tell you, I have eaten at Wakame, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I think it's awesome.
I really
Thank
want to
you.
try it.
You guys,
I was really
I'll go
impressed.
on record by saying I'll host you. It's fine, and I'll host you again for your second time.
Okay, wonderful.
But thank you. It's
Score.
my brother is. I know nothing about food, but my brother is a self-taught person. He was into culinary ever since he was younger. He has flown to Thailand and these places to kind of learn what they do, and also flown in people from Japan and stuff to learn as well. So he's just passionate about food. So when he came up with the concept of fine dining, it was very worrisome.
Yeah.
And me as a business person, I admit that I was skeptical.
Your concern was what? That you didn't know enough about the business, or that it's a competitive business?
It was very left field for our company.
Yeah.
Our company, my dad's 25 to now 15, our real estate, property,
Okay.
oil and gas, commodities, stock market, and the odd franchise of Edward Arrangements, and then a marketing agency, which is already left field, a marketing social media agency, which is mine. So going into fine dining is something we have no experience.
Yeah.
And my second worry was the fact that being in tourism and being knowledgeable at least about the culinary industry, it's cutthroat, it's very saturated.
Right.
We're not London, we're not New York, we're not Tokyo. We're 2.5 million people, and we're already saturated with so many restaurants. And homegrown tend to not fare off as much as your Zumas and your Le Petit Maisons and stuff
I
like
see.
that.
When you bring in a franchise. Yeah.
Yes. So, and I don't blame anyone that's born and raised here or that they go towards big brand names, because that's what we're accustomed to. When Western stuff come in or when things from abroad, there's a queue out the door. But as soon as you open something homegrown, it's questionable. Like, who are they to know French cuisine or Italian or something like that? And we tend to be skeptical about going.
Right.
So I voiced my concerns, and I basically told him I believe a little harsh, and I said, you know what, you're a baby, you grow it. I'm here for support. I'm supervising. I'm leaving for a year to the army, so I won't be here for a year of its running, but I will help as much as I can in the marketing. However, these are my concerns, and if it's a go with you, it's a go with you. You get the green light from the guy upstairs, and I'm powerless. So let's see. He got the green light. My dad trusted him, saw how hard he was working. We opened it, and so yeah, downtown is just Sofitel's benefits, and also it's the heart of the city.
Yep.
So it's easier from all angles to kind of open up, and it's fine dining. So you didn't want to open one that's kind of out of place, like on Jumeirah Road or on
Sheikh Zayed Road.
on Sheikh Zayed Road. You wanted that hotel value to be like, okay, they're actually there, because it's either there or DIFC if you want to really be central, and DIFC was already pretty full. So when we got the opportunity, we took it.
And it seems to be doing well. As I said, I ate there. I really liked it. The theme is sort of Pan-Asian, right?
Yeah.
And so is it Thai inspired mostly, or is it
Japanese.
it's Thai plus Japanese plus?
Now my brother is very passionate about Thai, but it's more Japanese focused.
Okay.
But there's Thai, there's Singaporean, there's Japanese, there's Chinese, and it is like you said, Pan-Asian.
Yeah.
And I am using the word that's become very overused at the moment, but Asian fusion.
Asian fusion, right?
So people are like, what's Asian fusion? So for example, you get a lobster taco, yeah. So you get Japanese lobster, but then you have it in a taco with guacamole on top. So you're taking a Mexican Japanese dish and kind of meshing them together.
Right,
so it's
right.
it's kind of those stuff. So and sliders, American burgers, American sliders, but then you're using Wagyu beef and truffle mayo. So it's like, it's these things
Combining these various things.
kind of getting different flavors, yeah. But it's been serving us well, alhamdulillah.
It looks so good.
I've got the face, but I just
You get hungry though.
I have to go.
And we're open today if you'd like to.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's a learning curve.
So your brother had gone to Asia, was that what it was? And he had loved the food, and that was the inspiration? Or?
Yeah. Growing up, I think how he got into that was the cook we had at home was actually, he's from India, but his forte was Asian food, so Chinese and Thai and stuff like that. It's just odd. So, and my brother was mainly, he very much engulfed with him to the point where he's actually, you can Google it, He's actually the youngest Emirati cricket player. He plays cricket.
Really?
He's the youngest Emirati cricket player to play for the UAE national
His
team.
name again?
His name?
Alawi Shukri or Alawi Al Braik. Shukri is my dad's name.
Okay.
So he's an athlete. He got that title of playing cricket, and which is very odd because you will never find an Emirati that would be playing cricket other than football. But he took that and he
Left-handed batsman.
yes, and he created the first ever all Emirati club of 22 young Emirati cricket players. And
Interesting.
they play in clubs, they play in Ramadan. It's approved by the ICC, which is the International Cricket Commission. And he played for the national team in the Asian Cup when he was 19.
UAE has a national cricket team?
Yes, but
Okay.
he was, unfortunately, he was the only local
I see.
in the Emirati team. Which I think only has one now. I think he doesn't play anymore because he's more into the business now.
Yeah.
But from the age of 16 to 21, he was very active.
Yeah.
So he engulfed into the whole lifestyle of the Asian subcontinent and food, and got passionate about it.
Okay, that
and
makes
so
sense.
that was his passion to open. But his other concepts that are opening up soon are on the other side of the other side of the world. So he's now delving into more of European American cuisines, the ones that are coming up.
So any plans to
Turkish.
open another restaurant then?
For Wakame, no, just because I think it's going to be a standalone.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's opening 2 new concepts that are coming
Yeah,
up.
I guess that's what I meant.
One is a health cafe concept.
Oh, yeah?
Everyone's moving into more of healthness and healthy eating.
Yes, definitely.
So he is very passionate about that, being an athlete. So he's making up his own. He just experiments in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So he's opening a concept called Bidaya, which means in Arabic means the beginning. So he's going basically from the roots and sourcing everything from UAE local farms, locally grown and homegrown, and everything is superfood related. So nothing cooked.
That's cool.
It's
Where's
just
that going to
superfoods.
be, by the way?
Basically organic.
Where the first branch is
Yeah.
going to be a pilot, which
Yeah.
is going to open in Gravity. So we're
Okay.
meshing the two
Oh,
companies
Actually,
together.
that's smart.
In the
That's smart
gym,
because
yeah.
you got a bunch of. Well, we should talk about Gravity, but
Yeah.
just quickly, you said he's opening 2 concepts.
Yes, and
What's
the
the other?
second one he's looking into is opening more of a Turkish food concept.
Okay.
More into Turkish bakery, actually, focusing on the baked goods that they have. And that's something that he is also passionate about because he has a friend who's from Turkey and they're working on it together.
I see.
Whether or not he's doing more stuff, I don't know. And I personally have my own baby that's very, very, very early in its stages, but we just started finally signing stuff this month, which is completely left field. And I have 2 partners, so I can't say anything about it.
You can't talk
But
about that?
No, that's
Okay.
just because it's still very much
Yeah.
because it's very much of a new trend of style
Yeah.
of restaurants. But my brother is like, okay, I will give you one, concept in the food place.
Okay.
Because like, what's this marketing guy coming up into
Yeah.
my business and my food side?
Right.
But I was like, no, I have a great idea. Let's work on this together. So there is a third one as well, but
So
that's my baby.
That will be 4 total restaurants at that point.
Yeah, and with edible arrangements, so you can consider five F&B concepts within the next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Gravity. So that's a very interesting concept for a gym, meaning calisthenics.
Yeah.
And MMA, we had Tom Khan here, and I've
Yeah.
seen the MMA gyms beginning to spring up, and MMA is a really interesting way to do things. But
Yeah.
calisthenics, I haven't heard too much about that. So can you speak to that?
My friend who just graduated from AUD a few months ago is passionate about calisthenics. So he's an athlete in the sense that he's fit. He was an athlete. He played for the Al Wasl football club in the under-19s and also in the main club itself. Not anymore though. And so he was always fit, always running around. And while he used to train here at a local gym, he did his own research and saw this thing called calisthenics. So what does calisthenics actually just mean? It's a Greek word. I forgot the breakdown of the Greek word, but it just basically means beautiful movement
Okay.
of the body.
Okay.
And it's a sport that the ancient Greeks used to use because back then we did not have weights, we
Right.
did not have treadmills, we did not have anything like that. So it's how do you use your body. I could literally just use this space that we have, just the empty floor, and give an entire workout program.
Sure.
and you could literally live by it for as long as you want, just to remain fit. So it's basically utilizing your own body to stay fit.
Do you practice it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Every day. I'm an avid. So I wasn't the owner when it started.
Yeah.
I actually was a member, and he's my best friend.
I see.
I came into owning it a year and 2 months after it opened, and we're almost touching another 2 months, and we'll be turning 2. So I just came into the picture 6 to 8 months ago as a 50% co-owner. But I tried the product myself, and so. How do you use your own body weight? And then it's a calisthenics and parkour gym. So both are very new in this region, very new in the area, but it's one of the oldest sports. It's just freestyle movement and freestyle running.
Right.
And so we are the first focused gym, and first and only till today in the region. That's a calisthenics parkour gym only. And alhamdulillah, we hit a bottleneck. And the reason how I became a 50% owner is we hit a bottleneck in summer of 2016 where we couldn't fit any more people.
Okay.
We started turning away people. And when someone's paid for a full package to unlimited classes and you tell them, sorry, it's full, it's not really nice.
Yeah.
So we got that. So now we're actually expanding. So we're moving to the warehouse next door.
Okay.
And we're moving from 6,000 square feet to a 13,000 square feet.
And just quickly, so why do you prefer calisthenics as a workout method as opposed to weights? It's just in your words, because I can guess at it. But
yeah. So just to give people, just so that they know where I'm coming from, I've been in a gym since 16. I was a very obese child, and junk and not fitness at all. And then at the age of 16, I decided to turn my life around.
Yeah.
And so I've been in gyms from the age of 16, so that's 12 years. I've done everything. If you want to go from horse riding to swimming to normal gym, fitness to anything, rugby, whatever the case may be, I tried it all. And I don't know, but things were not sticking. The only thing that stuck for 12 years is I liked to run, but I'm not a marathon-y type person. I just run for the sake of running, and I run at my own pace. I just like running.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing I liked. And I was like, you know what? I tried this for 10 years. This is 2 years ago. I tried this for 10 years. I'm 26 now. That's it. I don't want to do any more gym stuff. I'm just going to run my life, and that's it. And so when this came into the picture, my friend Yusuf was like, you have to try this. I was like, no. A couple of years ago, I injured my back from the gym and I had a minor surgery. So I was
What were you doing? Was it weights? Or
You'd think.
Yeah.
It was actually cycling.
Okay.
And silly. I challenged myself. This was the type of person. I challenged myself to cycle for 7 days in a row for 3 hours per day. And those 7 days, so that was 21 hours of cycling, and it was the heat, it was everything, it was just very intense. And on the 8th day I couldn't get out of bed. I was stiff.
You pushed yourself too
I
hard.
pushed myself too hard, and when I checked,
overtraining.
Ours is not
and I bruised my tailbone and the bottom of my spine.
I'm looking at this, by the way. This is pretty cool. Parkour.
I bruised my spine, and that required surgery, and alhamdulillah, not major, but I'm fine. I'm fine now. The surgery was 4 years ago. 3 years ago. So coming back a year after surgery and being told to try a new gym, I was very skeptical. I was like, no, I'll just do my running and that's it. But then when I saw the benefits, in the sense that my friend was like, listen, there's no weights here.
Yeah.
And there's no treadmills, there's no machines. He's like, can you do a push-up? I was like, yeah. He was like, it's push-ups. Can you do a squat? I was like, yeah. He's like, it's squats. Can you do a handstand on the wall? Not a handstand freestyle, but like a handstand on the wall. I was like, yeah, sure, without falling on my face. Yeah. He was like, that's it. Let us just tell you how to master your own body. And when I did that, I realized I don't need to be going to to these gyms to basically lift 1,000 kilos and to have risk of injury and that fear. I could go into a gym and train fearless.
Yeah.
So that's how I fell in love, and that's why I prefer it.
It's a cool concept.
There's
There's something really natural about just lifting your own body.
There's no equipment in it, by the way. Like the things that you're looking at now online are just boxes for boxes' sake, to help with parkour and jumping and stuff like that. But we don't have any equipment in the gym.
I've always thought that Dubai would be an excellent location for parkour because, particularly like in Barsha Heights or Tikam, you have all these unfinished areas, and they're like perfect if you wanted to run through them and flip around and stuff.
That's
like that.
what we found out, that since opening, we've created communities, and so now these young kids are doing parkour, walk. I don't know if you call it even walking, but basically these like little parkour stops that they do, and they go to Bastakia, for example. So the Al Fahidi district with all the old wind towers.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
And so they jump and jump, but I keep on telling them and advising them, please tell me when you do these so I can get you the necessary approvals. Because like, what have we done to the city? We've unleashed parkour kids everywhere. And alhamdulillah, one of the greatest achievements I think from the gym is the fact that we have the first ever parkour Emirati female and Emirati male teachers. They were people who a year ago knew nothing about parkour and are now certified in teaching it to other people.
Wow.
And they're at the age, one is 19 and the other is 21. So
They're really passionate about it. I guess.
Emil and Speedy, we call him Speedy.
Yeah.
I feel like they, to be able to be like, not only have I opened a gym that's community focused, but the fact that we've inspired two people to now make a career and are getting paid for doing something that they never knew existed 2 years ago is mind-blowing.
As a final question, what advice would you tell all those young people if, let's say, they want to build themselves, they want to express themselves in society?
Yeah.
What would be that advice? What do you think they should do, and based on your experience, of course?
For anyone that's kind of coming into their own at the moment, to just kind of realize that whatever it is that you've studied or have been told doesn't mean that that's the rest of your life. That you could have a plan for what you're going to do and then end up going into F&B and fitness, which was never even on your radar when you began with. So never depend on the fact that what you do now is going to essentially be what you do forever. And patience. It comes to you when you least expect it. You just have to be passionate about it and keep that fire going. That's the most hardest thing, is to keep on going. I have had many, as recent as 2 days ago, moments where I was gonna give up on so many things, just because that's life. Yeah, you do. Life doesn't work exactly the way you want it, but the number one thing I can advise anyone is to have a good support system. Because if you have a good support system around you, it doesn't matter what you open, at least you did something and at least you followed it. Because the worst thing you can do for yourself is one day grow old and be like, what if I did things differently? And that's the thing that's been driving me ever since, is just not, I don't want to grow old and say what if.